few months, I've viewed and listened to several so-called long-form discussions on YouTube between Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris, and I've been favorably impressed. Peterson and Harris deeply disagree on some key topics or issues, but their discussions with one another are civil, deep, involved, fascinating, and long. Both men are articulate and entertaining. Sometimes they do get heated or testy, but they stay in the discussion with one another and strive not to allow emotion to destroy the dialogue. Their audiences like this a lot. Peterson and Harris have gone on tour together, having these long-form discussions, billed as debates, in front of thousands of people in different cities across the globe. In this essay, I'd like to propose, as we look forward to the second to 20 years of FOR, that the Fellowship of Reason become a place where long-form discussions are fostered. This proposal is aimed at adding to, but not replacing, the many wonderful activities which FOR members already create, lead, or otherwise enjoy. Peterson and Harris are part of an organization called the Intellectual Dark Web, or IDW, which aims to foster these long-form discussions between a wide variety of intellectuals such as Peterson, Harris, Brett Weinstein, Eric Weinstein, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, Jonathan Haidt, Steven Pinker, Sam Rogan, Ben Shapiro, Heather Heying, and many others. The core members have little in common politically. Brett and Eric Weinstein and Ms. Heying were Bernie Sanders supporters. Mr. Harris was an outspoken Hillary voter. Ben Shapiro is an anti-Trump conservative. If you are on Facebook or Twitter, you will have noticed and perhaps participated, maybe even enthusiastically, in verbal wars. In a war, the goal is to win over the opponent. And we often see people trying to win arguments over one another on social media. These heated arguments are most often political ones. Emotions run high. We often see individuals getting very angry with one another in these arguments, shouting at one another in their responses, accusing each other of bad behavior, and even unfriending one another as a result of these social media wars. Given the prevalence of these social media wars, it seems to me that people gain some type of value from them. But social media wars tear people apart, and it is my opinion that FOR has lost members and participants because of these wars. I don't think verbal wars are a good model for how members of FOR should interact with one another, at least not when they're at FOR activities, such as the one that we are attending presently. Rather, I suggest that our proper model of interaction at FOR events with respect to difficult topics should be the long-form discussion. FOR is a place of free speech, of creativity, and idea exploration, and we should not shirk from difficult discussions. But I do think that we need to promote some type of mechanism such that members can have very rich discussions with one another, but do not become so angry with one another that they then leave FOR as a result. I suggest that the leaders of the various FOR activities begin to stress this point at every FOR activity so that we begin to develop the healthy culture or habit of long-form discussions. Although I hope that FOR can become a place which fosters long-form discussions, there is considerable doubt in my mind that this can actually happen. We are all so much more tribal these days. People love to shout at one another on social media, get offended, and then retreat into their corners. a tendency which does not bode well for my suggestion. It would also not be useful for FOR to fundamentally become a place of argument. No, I'd much rather have FOR be a place which, as its primary focus, supports members in their positive passions. For example, Frank Vickers pours himself into preparing each month for poetry group. His love and passion for the great poets is a wonder to behold, and I enjoy his leadership of this group every month, even though I, as a child, did not like poetry at all. Frank's passion has opened a new door for me to enjoy poetry. So supporting long-form discussions does not mean that argument should become FOR's bread and butter. That would be a disaster, methinks. On what may seem to be quite a different topic, let me note on this 20th anniversary of FOR that it was the objectivist or libertarian feel of the Fellowship of Reason which initially attracted me to the organization over a decade ago when I joined. Many of the members of this organization, past or present, are freedom-loving individuals. Our founder, Martin Cowan, currently a Libertarian Party candidate for public office, published a book, Fabian Libertarianism, and has a long personal history in libertarian and objectivist circles. I would like FOR to be a comfortable home for libertarians, objectivists, and other people who do not react negatively when hearing the name Ayn Rand. A place where we do not need to constantly fight verbal battles day in and day out with a much larger populace of progressives and conservatives. When disagreements arise at FOR activities, we should, of course, conduct ourselves in a civil manner and use long-form discussions to talk through these issues. But it would be unwise to attempt to recruit new members from, for example, the ranks of the far left, because doing so would just lead to many future battles and suggestions that some topics be off limits for discussion as per leftist sensibilities. I suggest that over the next year we make efforts to recruit new members from libertarian objectivists or, failing that, non-political circles, as this pathway will likely lead to less future strife with the existing FOR libertarian and objectivist base. And this seems likely to lead to the creation of a comfortable home base for freedom-loving people who enjoy deep intellectual discussions. IDW members such as Eric Weinstein and Peterson and Harris explain how traditional media such as newspapers, radio, television, and so forth are in decline. And as they decline, they seek to bolster their declining ratings with warlike confrontations of individuals on different sides of the political spectrum in staged debates. These debates often have many participants, each one of whom has a woefully insufficient time to illuminate their positions. Rather, it is a yelling match, much like a social media war, and the host definitely does not function as a moderator of the discussion, but rather as an agent who seeks to make the combat as high volume as possible within the short time window of the program. IDW members observe that the short duration of these combative programs is one key aspect for which YouTube and podcasts offer a solution. Traditional media has a finite inventory of program slots, but YouTube and podcasts have unlimited inventory. Thus, YouTube and podcasts can support long-form discussions, whereas traditional media cannot. It is my hope that the Fellowship of Reason, with its many different and potentially expandable sets of activities, could support long-form discussions. Combative interview programs on traditional media and social media wars are most often about what the angry participants are against. One of the things we in FOR should strive to do when at FOR events is to define what we are for rather than what we are against. To say that FOR should support long-form discussions does not mean any change to that general directive, and we should not migrate to having argument or debate become the centerpiece of FOR. But when difficult topics cause disagreement, then better to engage with them in a civil and long format discussion than to have the equivalent of a social media war. Thank you very much. Happy anniversary, FOR.